Good morning and welcome back to Withrow Urban Homestead. Today we're going to plant out our beets. The spring vegetables do best along this side of the garden because in the summer these blackberry canes leaf out and protect the crops from the worst of the summer sun. They stay cool longer on this side. Now, this netting is protecting the cabbages from the white cabbage butterflies from laying their eggs and the caterpillars just destroying them, but it's also going to protect the beets from digging squirrels. But first, let's get this open. Now, I want to leave 12 inches between the cabbage and the first beet, and then 4 inches from the edge. Now this strip along here, it's pretty loose because this fall and winter I was growing greens and lettuce. So there's not much cardboard left, but let's go ahead and clean it up before we get started. Now we also want to move away the mulch. After the beets are established, we'll put the mulch back. And last, I want to loosen the soil and make sure there's no landscape pins still in there. The cardboard from the fall of 2022, it's already broken down into soil, but its landscape pins are still down there. So let's loosen this up on the surface. Now the beet seedlings are 5 weeks old. Now I've already thinned them down to 1 plant per soil block. Because growing in soil blocks, if more than one come up, the roots can get tangled. So I prefer just 1 for each block. And I started hardening these off last week. Now you don't need to start your beet seeds indoors. You can direct sow the seeds in the ground 4 weeks before your last frost. And that's what that is today. Right now it's 4 weeks before my last frost. Because I grow in a small space, I like to start my beets indoors. It gives me more control. Now remember, beet seeds are actually a fruit that contain 1 to 5 seeds. Now, some people don't thin their beets. They let 1, 2, or even 3 beets come up together. But no-till growers said be careful, because if your goal is to collect them as they mature, pull the biggest beet and leave the others to bulb up. If you started them in soil blocks, the ones you leave aren't going to get any bigger because the roots have gotten intertwined. But if you direct sow your seeds in the soil and let more than one grow together, you can harvest one at a time because the others will still keep growing since their roots have had more room to spread out. If you want to learn more from an expert who grows and sells produce, No-Till Growers is a rich source of information. I'm going to link their Beets video in the description, but they have great videos on other topics. These are heirloom Detroit dark red beets that I bought from Botanical Interests. They also have some great growing information. Check out their growing guides. I'll put a link in the description too. Now this is my main crop of beets. Most of these I'm going to shred, dehydrate, then turn into beet powder. It can be used in smoothies, or my favorite way, fill gelatin capsules. I take 12 every day. It's like my natural vitamins. Because honestly, I'm not that crazy about beets. Now some of these beets I'm going to use for dill salads. And after I harvest them, they'll last for months in the refrigerator in a baggie. Now I left several beets in the soil through the winter. I sowed them in the fall, and I covered them if the temperatures went below 25 degrees. I also mounted some soil on top to protect them. Now they're starting to grow again. My hope is they'll send up a flower head and I can save my own seeds for the first time. Beets require 2 seasons to send up that flower. Now if you have a big garden and enough space, you can space your rows 12 inches apart. But I don't have that kind of space. So I'm going to stagger the next row in between the beets 4 inches away. I'll also grow a fall crop of beets. Now because I chop and drop my plants every fall and leave the old mulch and I cover it all with cardboard and then new mulch, all that underneath the cardboard is already broken down into rich soil. And that's the reason I don't have to water. I rarely water in the summer because it holds in the moisture. Now I will water today and for about a week while the roots get established. I also don't feed the garden because all that soil is already rich. And beets don't require a lot of feeding. They're not heavy feeders like onions. Wrong sign, they're not a person. But the point is, they're not heavy feeders. Now, because spring beets can bolt if they're exposed to temperatures below 44 degrees consistently, tonight I will cover them with fleece. It's still cold here at nights. Now, when it's above 50 degrees during the day, I'll open the fleece, but we're going to leave the net in place because we don't want the squirrels digging them up. So I was able to plant 3 rows and a few in front of the cabbages, and those are the ones I'll harvest first. Thank you for visiting Withrow Urban Homestead. See you later. Bye-bye.